What is up, everybody? Cliff Ravenscraft here, and I want to introduce you to one of my latest obsessions. I talked about this in a Facebook live stream yesterday. I just published that live stream to my vlog yesterday. But today I want to introduce you to what got me hooked on basically watching endless amounts of hours of the UK parliamentary procedures related to Brexit. It all started on Sunday on my way home from San Diego. I was just looking for random stuff to download into my YouTube app. I have the YouTube Premium service that allows me to download things so I can watch offline. And for some reason, it was something related to Brexit that caught my attention. I can't remember what the exact video was. But anyway, it introduced me to this Speaker of the House, John Bercow, or Bercow. Anyway, he was so eloquent in the way that he handled the debate that was going on, and the voice, this deep, raspy, and very thick British accent. He goes, "Order!" Anyway, I kid. It just caught my attention and created a curiosity about the way in which debate is handled in the House of Parliament. I had noticed that people didn't actually speak directly to one another, that everyone, even though they're speaking to this person on the other side of the House, they're actually speaking to the speaker and speaking of that person in the third person. And everyone is required, I've since learned, to be very civil towards one another. For example, they will always say things like, "the right honorable gentleman from the Lord of Sussex," or whatever the case may be, or "the right honorable lady from wherever she's from," and it's always the right and honorable lady, or the right and honorable gentleman, or the right and honorable friend. And there's just so much that's required for them to have civil debate with one another. And of course, I've since been watching tons of coverage about Brexit, and there are views that are as diverse can be about whether or not people want to leave the European Union, people who want to stay, people who want to negotiate deals, who want to extend deadlines. I mean, it's all over the map, and these people are extremely passionate, as they should be. And I have no personal opinions. Obviously, what they decide doesn't directly impact me. I am intrigued, and I have since become not only very much interested in learning how Parliament is made up of the House of Lords and the House of Commons, and then how the Speaker is elected. And I've watched all kinds of those little mini documentaries that you can find on YouTube that gives you ample explanation in like 8 to 10 minutes of how these things are done, which I have found fascinating. My curiosity had been piqued like to the highest level with all of this. I haven't had a passion that I've been this intrigued with since discovering the Hamilton soundtrack. Well, that's not true. There was the time that I rediscovered ABBA again in my life, and what I have these obsessions, these curiosities that I love to follow. But I've really been enjoying watching the debates and parliamentary procedures, not only related to Brexit, but just some of the other things that they're deciding in the UK. Much more of a curiosity there than even in my own government, which I used to be a history major, which I think is interesting because while I studied a lot of history, American history and stuff like that in college, I was very much more keenly interested in world history. And I've always had a soft spot for the UK and learning things about the UK, especially with the Scottish Highlands and stuff like that. So it came to me to be no surprise that I got sucked into Parliament and their discussion or more so, vigorous debate about what's going on with Brexit. So I'm totally into it. And because a lot of people don't understand how did I get intrigued, what I've done is I've created a video. I've got about 15 minutes worth of content. Hopefully it won't be content flagged by YouTube. There's a chance that you may never see this video. because what I'm about ready to do is share a ton of clips from other sources, whether it be The Sun or the UK Parliament in and of itself. In my opinion, what I'm doing here is using fair use, commentating on what has intrigued me. I learned about this Speaker of the House, John Bercow, how he handles this debate, and also I've picked out some really funny clips for random stuff that I found all over the YouTube space. So I don't know if this will intrigue you, if you will have any interest at all, but if you want to know what got me started, it's these random clips that you're about ready to see, and that led me into an entire 1-hour interview that John Bercow did with Oxford Union, and beyond that, a bunch of mini documentaries, and now I've learned all about the weekly PM questions, or the questions to the Prime Minister, that happens every Wednesday. I found myself looking forward to going, I look forward to going to the gym anyway, but this morning at 8 a.m. I was there and ready to watch the live stream of the weekly PM questions. It was a highlight of my day today, and I have lots of other things I'm excited about. Anyway, if you want to know how I got interested in my keen obsession currently with John Bercow as the Speaker of the House and the UK Parliament and Brexit and all of this other stuff that's going on, it all started by by witnessing what happens in these debates. And in one of the videos that I saw, somebody had commented that UK Parliament has become the world's most fascinating reality television show. And there's a little bit of an element to that as well, but I'm also learning a great deal, and I'm just fascinated. And I figured I'd share with you, if possible, some clips that may pique your curiosity as well. Here they are.
Scotland's voices must be respected, Prime Minister.
Prime Minister!
I say to the right honourable gentleman, I think that the points that he made are the same points he's been making in response to my statements, regardless of the content of my statements for some time now. He talked about the economic analysis. We did publish an economic analysis of the proposals that the government had put forward.
Order. There's plenty of scope for disagreement about what is true and what isn't true, but in fairness, I repeat the point that the person who has the floor must be heard. The Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I say to the right honourable gentleman that I think in his intervention from a sedentary position, he may have inadvertently misled the House on this matter. No. The government.
What was that? Order. Forgive me. I didn't hear what was said. I hope the word liar wasn't used, but order. I'm perfectly capable of handling this matter with alacrity, and I shall do so. If that word was used without equivocation or qualification, that word must be withdrawn at once. At once. Order. If a member on the front bench used that word, I'm sorry, I'm not debating it, I'm not arguing, I'm not negotiating. That word must be withdrawn at once. Who was the person that used the word? Mr. Blackwood? I'm advised, I admit I didn't see which member used it. I'm advised, I think on good authority, that word was used by the leader of the Scottish National Party. If so, I want the debate to continue, and it will, but if so, I simply ask the right honourable gentleman to withdraw that word. He cannot accuse another member in this House of dishonesty. Withdraw.
In courtesy to yourself, I withdraw. For courtesy to yourself.
No, there are plenty of precedents for that. I remember doing it once myself. And I remember a member of the Shadow Cabinet from West Bromwich once doing it out of deference to the chair rather than the person whom he'd been attacking. That's enough.
I asked him a very important question about the windfall he received when he wrote off the mortgage of the premises in Notting Hill And I said to him he didn't write off the mortgage of the one the taxpayers were helping to pay for at Oxford. I didn't receive a proper answer then. Maybe Dodgy Dave will answer it now. And by the way,
Order. I must ask the honourable gentleman, order. Don't require any assistance from some junior minister. An absurd proposition. I invite the honourable gentleman to withdraw that adjective that he used a moment ago. He's perfectly capable of asking his question without using that word. It is up to him, but if he doesn't wish to withdraw it, I can't reasonably ask the Prime Minister to answer the question. All he has to do is withdraw that word and think of another. Sorry? I think he knows the word beginning with D and ending in Y that he inappropriately used.
Davy.
Withdraw.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Very simple. Withdraw.
This man has done more to divide this nation than anybody else. He's looked after his own pocket. I still refer to him as Dodgy Dave. Do what you like.
Order. I'm sorry. I must ask the honourable gentleman to withdraw the word. Very well. Under the power given to me by Standing Order number 43, I order the honourable member to withdraw immediately from the House for the remainder of this day's sitting.
He's used to this.
Order! Mr. McNeill. You are an exceptionally boisterous fellow, and in the course of your boisterous behaviour, you appear to be chewing some sort of gum. A very eccentric contact. I mean, I have great aspirations for you to be a statesman, but I think your apprenticeship still has some distance to travel. My expectation is that the Secretary of State will speak relatively early in the debate. There's no need for the honourable member for Dewsbury to chunter ahoy there from a sedentary position. Very eccentric behaviour. It's not the sort of thing I would ever have done as a backbencher, I feel sure.
The Prime Minister...
Order! The rights of my order! The rights of my order! However irritating the honourable gentleman... may be to government backbenchers, he has a right to be heard, and he will be heard. Mr. Tim Farron.
I am fantastically grateful to you, Mr. Speaker.
This kiss a ginger activity is probably perfectly lawful, but I've got no plans to partake of it myself.
Resign.
Strikes me as a very rum business altogether. As colleagues can probably tell, I had not the slightest idea about what the honourable gentleman was prating, so the matter had to be Googled for me. I must just say to the House, and I'm most grateful to the Prime Minister, and before we come to points of order, that for all the turbulence and discord of today's proceedings, the little baby who has been observing them has been a model of impeccable behaviour from start to finish. And I've just been advised that the father is the honourable gentleman, the member for Norwich South. I'm not going to go so far as to say his behaviour is always impeccable, but the little baby has been impeccable. And I think we salute that. The future of our democracy and the future of in the business of invoking precedent, nor am I under any obligation to do so. I think the honourable gentleman will know that it is the long-established practice of this House that the Speaker in the chair makes judgments upon the makes judgments upon the selection of amendments, and the order and those judgments are not questioned by members of the House. I am clear in my mind that I have taken the right course. Let me say this by way of explanation to the honourable gentleman and to the House. The motion in the Prime Minister's name is indeed a variation of the order agreed by the House on the 4th of December. Under paragraph 9 of that order, the question on any motion to vary the order should be put forthwith. I interpret that to mean that there can be no debate. But the terms of the order, I must advise the House, do not say that no amendment can be selected or moved. I cannot allow debate, but I have selected the amendment in the name of the Right Honourable and Learned Gentleman, the member for Beaconsfield. At the appropriate point, I will invite him to move it once the motion has been moved. That is the position.
When people have challenged you, said, I cannot do X or Y because I am bound by a motion of the House. You've done that multiple times in my experience. So why are you overriding a motion of the House today?
The answer to the... I thank the Right Honourable Gentleman for his point of order and also for his characteristic courtesy. The answer is simple. The Right Honourable Gentleman referred to a motion, and he said that no motion in this context, for the purposes of Brexit, may be moved other than by a Minister of the Crown. 'Tis so. We are not treating here of a motion, but of an amendment to a motion. Well, I'm sorry, but there is a distinction There is a distinction between a motion and an amendment. What the Right Honourable Gentleman says about a motion, I accept, but it doesn't relate to an amendment. That's the answer.
And I would suggest to some of my honourable friends, the ones that are getting somewhat overexcited, that perhaps they should don a yellow jacket and go outside to take part in this discussion.
Of course I will come back to other colleagues. I thank the Right Honourable and Learned Gentleman for what he said, which I think requires no response from me. It stands on its own. Point of order, Mr. Christopher Leslie.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you are in an invidious position. You have an extremely difficult job to do. But can you confirm that your rulings, whichever way they go, sometimes we will agree and sometimes we will disagree, but that it would not be in order for you to simply respond to the loudest voice at a particular point of time, or in any way to be pushed by a minority view because they are acting in a coordinated attempt to overrule your rulings, Mr. Speaker.
Well, I note what the honourable gentleman says, and he won't be surprised to know that I share his judgment in the matter. And for the avoidance of doubt and the understanding of people who are not members of the House but who are attending to our proceedings, possibly even present in the Palace of Westminster today, let me say this so that it is crystal clear from the vantage point of the Chair. What the Chair is proposing to do
is to select an amendment because, in my honest judgment, it is a legitimate selection. It is for the House to vote upon order. It is for the House to vote upon that amendment and indeed to vote upon a motion. The Chair is simply seeking to discharge the responsibility of the holder of the office to the best of his ability. That is what I have always done. And no matter what people say, or how forcefully they say it, or how many times they say it, or by what manner of coordination it is said, I will continue to do what I believe to be right. Point of order, Sir William Cash.
And that has always been thought to mean, and has always been understood to mean, that these motions are unamendable. Forthwith means unamendable. Why have you changed your interpretation of that word in this case?
My understanding is that the motion today and the amendment are undebatable. There is to be no debate on them. I haven't made, as the honourable gentleman suggests, a change of judgment specifically for today. I understand what the honourable gentleman tells me in respect of the traditional treatment of delegated legislation, upon which he may himself be a considerable authority. I think it reasonable to say, by way of response, that I cannot be expected to make a comprehensive judgment on that related question now, but I stand by the view that I have expressed to the House. I completely respect the fact that the honourable gentleman takes a view that differs from my own, but that is in the nature of debate and of argument.
Well, there you go, my friends. That is an introduction to some of the clips that specifically piqued my curiosity when it came to what in the heck did I just witness? And it's from these types of clips that I found on YouTube that led me down an entire rabbit trail to where now I am quite obsessed with following everything that's going on related to Brexit, and also just admiring how a government different than the American government is run, and specifically the UK Parliament. And probably all of this is even better prefaced by the fact that my wife and I just watched, season 1 and season 2 of The Crown together about a couple weeks ago. We just finished watching all of that. So fascinating stuff. Again, I don't know if any of this is any interest to you, but one of the things that I love about social media is that you get to share a little bit more about who you are as a person, the things that interest you, and if you have any interest in learning a little bit about what interests me, this happens to be a current interest of mine. So anyway, I thought I'd share. Thanks so much for tuning in. By the way, if you haven't done so already, check out freethedreamconference.com. Again, freethedreamconference.com. Coming up again in September, I would love to help you break free from anything that's holding you back from living the life of your dreams. Talk to you then.